The next morning is cold, but bright and sunny. A cream-coloured Rover car, registration PFA 324H, speeds along a stretch of dual carriageway. Inside the car, a middle-class couple in their mid to late 30s are chatting. The dark-haired man is driving. The good-looking woman in the passenger seat, with the neat fringe, subtle pale blue eyeshadow, and streaked blonde hair, has a big fur coat on. She'll be furious, absolutely furious, Susan Hunt declares, slightly theatrically, in her cultured voice. She glances over to her husband to gauge his response. Keeping a tight grip on the steering wheel and sounding slightly irritated, Jeff Hunt replies to his wife, "Remember, darling, it wasn't our fault," with his voice sounding a bit strained. It wasn't anybody's fault. On both occasions, he emphasizes the word fault. Jeff has fine, short black hair and looks like he needs a shave. His wide sideburns are neatly trimmed. He looks like a professional man who can handle responsibility. His even-featured, handsome face looks pasty in the harsh winter light coming through the car window. "It's your car," she mildly accuses him. Men are supposed to look after their cars, to make sure they don't break down. She looks at him mischievously to see if he is rising to the bait. Jeff handles this by saying nothing. He concentrates on his driving. Jeff keeps tight-lipped for just a short while. Susan breaks the silence. "Poor Joan," she sighs. "We were supposed to meet her last night, but now look at it." She quickly glances at her watch. It's tomorrow." Susan looks at Jeff as if to challenge him a bit. Jeff puts on a calming tone. "She probably made herself some supper and went quietly to bed," he says reassuringly. "But I had to sit by the roadside and freeze all night." Susan puts on a slightly perturbed look. "Just who are you worried about, Joan, or yourself?" Jeff says with a smirk. "Both of us, of course." Susan has concession in her eyes as Jeff takes a bit of command. This is all play acting. "Both of us had an absolutely beastly night," Susan says with a warm grin. Jeff is grinning too. "All because of your wretched car," she teases. They both now have wide smiles. "But you love me," Jeff says with confidence. Susan pushes her big fur collar up over her neck and face and peers over the top, revealing just her alluring eyes. "Maybe," she says. Jeff and Susan arrive at the entry to the driveway of their big country house in their cream H registration Rover. Susan gets out of the passenger side door, takes a few steps forward, and opens up the white wooden gates to allow the car access. Jeff drives the car through and parks it next to the house, stiffly yanking the handbrake on before exiting from the driver's side. They both walk along the paving stones of the path, still mildly grinning at each other. Susan's thigh-level leather boots make an impressive clumping sound on the stone path. She squats down and lifts up the doormat to check. There is no key. She stretches her arm out towards Jeff and makes a beckoning motion with her hand, as if to say, "The door key, please?" Jeff picks up a couple of full milk bottles from the ground, swiftly transfers both of them to his left hand, and uses his free right hand to place a set of keys into Susan's palm. Susan puts the keys into the Yale lock, turns them, and opens the front door. "Jeff!" she shouts in a high-pitched voice. They both stare into their house. In the hallway, they see tables upturned, cabinets tipped over, and books scattered all over the floor. As they look around, they see picture frames smashed on the floor and stools lying horizontally. There are bloody hand marks and fingerprints on the walls, and large streaks of deep red blood in places. One of the short axes is missing from the display. They stand there in shock, frozen. Jeff holds a milk bottle in each hand in front of him. Susan's dark brown leather handbag dangles loosely off her left hand. "Joan!" they both shout in unison at the top of their voices. A bloody hand begins to emerge from behind the plasterboard of the wall corner, about 20 feet away from them. The disembodied hand moves slowly and is about 3 feet off the ground as it creeps around the corner of the wall. They hear the sound of sobbing. Joan gradually appears from around the corner of the hallway. She is on her knees, and she grips the wall to steady herself as she rises slowly into a standing position. This takes all her strength of will. Joan is battered and bruised, and her clothes are torn. She staggers and falls into the arms of Susan, who has rushed forward to catch her. Jeff grabs the telephone that is sitting on a small table nearby. The police are on their way. Their blue lights are flashing, and their sirens are loudly wailing. "Surely just 1 minute," the plain-clothed inspector demands, with his face contorted. He stands at around 5'10". The knot of his tie is loose and bulges out of his dark blue suit as it attempts to grip the collar of his check-patterned shirt. His craggy face, furrowed brow, and big moustache mark him out as a tough guy with experience. His receding but still lively dark red hair and huge sideburns give him an imposing appearance. "The answer must be no," states the tall and distinguished doctor in the white coat. The surgeon clears the height of the copper by at least 2 inches. His voice is steady and firm. The inspector and the doctor both look over to see the limp body of Joan being placed down on a hospital bed by 2 orderlies. "Half a minute, then," the inspector pleads, and attempts to use a softer approach to persuade. "No." "Look, you're doing your job, doctor. I'm just trying to do mine." The inspector points at his own chest for emphasis. "She saw the man, she must have. Maybe she can give us an accurate description." He tries to convince. "Not now, please." "Look, doctor." The inspector gestures for them both to go out into the corridor. When outside the room, the inspector raises his voice to a shriller pitch. "If we don't catch him, he'll do it again!" The cop stares directly at the tall man in the white coat and challenges him to concede. The doctor comes back robustly. "Potential victims are your concern. Mine is that girl." The inspector pauses for a second, realizes there is no compromise, and then says, "I'll be back tomorrow then," before quickly walking away. The doctor calls out, and the inspector stops in the corridor and looks back. "Don't you realize it is her mind that is affected? The state she is on now, she may never make any sense." "I'll be back tomorrow," the copper mutters under his breath, and then walks away.